Today we're talking about the Godox SL150W Mark II. So let's do this. What's up, YouTube? I hope you all are doing well. Today we are talking about the Godox SL150W Mark II. I do want to mention that I was sent this light from Pergear, but as always, they don't require me to say anything specific about the light, so you're going to get my honest and unbiased opinion. The way that we're going to break down this light is by my pros and cons, as well as my overall thoughts and who I think could be useful for. So without further ado, let's talk about my pros. My first pro, and probably one of the biggest reasons you're looking at buying this light, is the overall fan noise. This is the second iteration of the SL150W. In that first iteration, a lot of the feedback that was given to Godox was the fact that the fans were entirely too loud. So with the Mark II model, they have lowered the overall fan noise, but have also given you the option to completely turn off the fan. I have it completely turned off right now, so it's not introducing any additional noise in my shot, and that is amazing. Now you do lose some output when you turn off the fans, but it's roughly the same output as the SL60W at 100%, and that's what I'm used to, so that works out for me. So right now this is at 100% with the fans turned off. However, if I turn the fans on, I get a lot more output, but again, I'm going to be quiet. Now my room is not really sound treated, but I'm going to be a little bit quiet to see if you can pick up the fan noise, because even that has been reduced. So I'm going to shut up for a minute. So let me turn that back off. Again, completely off. It does reduce the output, but really helpful in a small studio scenario where a little bit of volume goes a long way. So even though it does reduce some of the output, being able to cut off the fans entirely and reduce that noise is a huge win for me. So speaking on output, another pro is the fact that they updated the reflector to help increase the output. This is a little bit different of a reflector than the Mark I version. Just the way it's designed, it helps a lot with the output of the light overall. Small pro, but really helpful in the scenario where every piece of output counts, especially if I'm trying to cut off my fan noise, and it does reduce that output, so having that extra boost, really helpful. Another pro is that there are some built-in effects. Things like flash, storm, broken bulb, and TV are all available in this light, which is really awesome in and of itself. I think you see that same thing with the Aperture 120D. I think the Mark II does that as well, and so that's really awesome to see that that is included in the Godox SL150W Mark II. Maybe a smaller pro, but if your production is trying to get some effects with a really good output, this may be something to consider as well. Another pro and something else I appreciate is the fact that when I'm using the remote, it does go down to 0. So you can see this. We'll wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Now, if you notice that the light is not adjusting brightness, we're going to get into that in just a minute, but it's going to go all the way down to 0. I can't speak to the original SL150, but I do know that the SL60, when you're using the remote, you can only go down to 25%, and then overall it goes as low as 10%. So there's not the ability to go down all the way to 0 or 1%. So that's a nice little bonus on the new SL150, is the fact that it does go down to 0, both on the body itself and on the remote. So that's really helpful. So along with this light having a Bowens mount so I can use other light modifiers, it also comes with the ability to support an umbrella, which for me is actually really helpful. I'm using an umbrella right now because my office is really small, and so the way that my office is set up, it actually helps to be able to use an umbrella to reflect the light back to me, and also cuts down on glare with my glasses. So it's more specific to me, but that's what we're talking about. We're talking about pros and cons that I have found using this light. And so the fact that you can mount an umbrella to the light, you don't have to use any other clamps or things like that, is really helpful. And the last pro for me is overall price. At time of filming, this light right now is $340. And for what you get, that is an amazing price. Spec-wise, this is rivaling something like the Aperture 120D, which is roughly double the cost of this light. So the fact that you get all these features and the fact that you get this quality with a light that's roughly about half the cost of the Aperture 120D is just amazing in and of itself. And so if you are a budget filmmaker, budget videographer, or hell, even a budget studio photographer, this is a great solution for you. You get all of these specs and all of these features in something that is only $340. And so that in and of itself is just a huge pro. Now, in using this light and how amazing it is, I did try to find some cons, and I found a couple. So one con, and it's more of just like a small inconvenience or a small frustration thing, it's not really big, but the fact that there is some latency with the remote, I'm gonna pull the remote back out again, but there is some latency with the remote. If you notice, I'm gonna go down a little bit on the remote as far as like, let's say 75%. Well, the light's not dimming. When I let it go, it dims. And that's kind of a nitpicking thing. I wish it dimmed the light while I was pressing it on the remote, but it doesn't. And that's kind of a small con for me. So if I go back all the way up to 100%, it won't adjust it on the light immediately. What it will do is it will wait for me to let go of the button and then adjust the brightness. So depending on your workflow, that may be a little bit irritating. So it's a very small con, but still a con. The other thing is that there's no case that comes with this light. Godox does offer a case for some of their lights, but this series, the SL series, doesn't seem to be one of those. And that would be really helpful to have a case to put your light in. So if you need to take it on a shoot or something like that, you have a case instead of trying to find like a third-party case or something of that nature. Having an included case would be helpful. But again, I'm looking for things to not like about this light, and there's not a ton of things, and so the case was one of them for me. So like I said before, not a ton of cons, and so with the pros out of the way and the cons out of the way, what are my overall thoughts and who do I think this would be useful for? First, my overall thoughts is the fact that this is an amazing light. In and of itself, this is an amazing light. I think if you're on a budget and you need a good quality light with plenty of output, this is an option. I think if you're in a small home studio and you're looking for a light that's going to offer little to no fan noise, this is an option. If you are looking for a light that does have some built-in effects or supports things like umbrellas right out of box, this is a good option. All those things that I mentioned as pros, built in with the fact that this is an inexpensive option with all of those pros, just makes this light such a must-buy light. And so with that, who would I recommend this for? Honestly, anybody. I wouldn't even say if you're on a budget. I would say even if you're not on a budget, but you just want to bring down the cost of your production, look at this light. This light is amazing, and it's not amazing for $340. It's just amazing. And the fact that it's $340 is an added bonus. So that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, make sure to give it a like. And if you're digging the overall content from the channel, consider subscribing. And as always, thank you all for joining. Go and find your journey. Go embrace life. Stay safe. Be happy. Support each other. Wash those hands. And I'll see you here next time. Peace. I have notes. I got notes. I got notes. Is that a plane? This is what happens. This is, if you guys joined my live stream this past week, it's my first live stream, and I get so distracted. I'm just like, plane? Fan? Oh, what's happening? It's crazy.